I've had people who I bought cards off, and they'll actually record the process of the cards going into a bag.
Yep.
So you see each card, and then he puts it into the envelope and he seals up
Yeah.
the envelope. So I
Yep.
would say that's like the gold standard. The other one I've seen online too is people when they're shipping.
Welcome to another timeless moment brought to you by the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. If you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to support the show, please hit that subscribe button and tick that bell so you get notified whenever we go live. See you in the comments. We're back with another timeless moment. And we're flipping the script this week a little bit. We've told buyers to beware of scam sellers. But we kind of want to put the shoe on the other foot this week and said, let's educate our aspiring sellers, those that want to dip their toe into the world of selling cards.
Yeah, because I think as you move through your hobby journey,
Yep.
and as you start to buy more cards, you soon realize that you can't possibly keep all of these cards. And then often too, you'll realize that there's maybe a different or better card that you'd like to purchase instead. So it is something that you have to deal with at some point in your hobby collecting career, which will be selling cards, and can be daunting. It can be stressful.
Very.
And it can be, unfortunately, fraught with peril.
Yes.
So we just like to maybe talk about some of the, the really big red flags that if you can avoid the easy ones, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah. And it is. So these are sort of our, I guess we call it our key 5 tips with a couple of little bonuses.
Yeah.
For what you're doing, especially if it's your first time as a seller. I can kick it off with number 1.
Yeah, I think you were mentioning this, and I probably think you're more passionate about this. So I think this is definitely better for you to talk about this one.
I think the simple one is good record keeping. Keeping records. If you're selling one card, you know where your one card is and what you sold your one card, or what you want to sell the one card for, and that's great. However, if you're looking to sell 20, 30, 50, 100 cards, I would recommend having some kind of database, tracking sheet, record keeping tool. Obviously, if you're doing it on eBay tracks a lot of this stuff for you.
And the tools on that are very good because it'll tell you where each order is up to. If you have shipped it, if it's tracked, if it's delivered, Yeah.
In fact, you can buy postage labels and everything through eBay. Yeah. Like it's very automated these days. However, for your own record keeping, this is something I do personally with the cards that I sell. I actually have the cards, give them a reference number and keep them in a specific area so that I know where they are, and as they sell, where I get them and if they're gone off the list, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that way I'm like, oh, okay, what was what card did I sell off my list? Bang, what did it sell for?
Yeah.
Where's it located? Because that's embarrassing, obviously. Oh no, I haven't got the card anymore. Legitimately, of course. But
you don't want to end up on a scammer's page because you can't find your cards.
Yeah, because don't ever try and sell it twice. We've covered this on an episode. No, it's like a genuine. It can be a genuine record keeping mistake where you're just like, what cards am I selling? Keeping track of where things are, especially if you're not doing it on eBay. And I'm alluding to things like marketplace sales, auctions, and things like that. When you're putting up multiple cards,
yeah,
just keep track of who gets what. Because I've been on the receiving end of receiving the wrong card from a marketplace sale.
Yeah, and it happens. Like those
completely
things happen.
Genuine. We worked it out.
Yeah.
There was no problem. Yeah. I sent the card on to the correct person. The correct card got posted out to me. There was no issue. There was no drama. Just a bit inconvenient.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely. Yeah. So I think the other thing to add to record keeping too is that I've had people who I bought cards off, and they'll actually record the process of the cards going into a bag.
Yep.
So you see each card, and then he puts it into the envelope and he seals up the envelope. So I would say that's like the gold standard. The other one I've seen online too is people when they're shipping high value cards,
Mm-hmm.
they'll actually record the whole process of them packing it in.
Mm-hmm.
So then they've got like proof. So if something, does get claimed back, okay, this is the process. This is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I've also seen some people weigh the package so that in USPS, it's a bit different in Australia, but they'll actually weigh them at particular points along the line. So if you see the weight change, then you go, okay, clearly the parcel was tampered with at this point, and I know how
Yeah.
much it started off with. So that's something else.
Yep.
The second thing in our sheet is tracked postage. So basically, what that's alluding to is that you pay for tracking, and then that way you get a message as it's going along. You also get a message when it's delivered.
Yep.
Australia Post also offers $100 worth of insurance on regular tracked parcels.
Yeah. Yep.
So that also gives you a little bit of peace of mind in terms of, particularly parcels sub 100, you're 100% covered.
Yep.
Once you get greater than 100, that's, I think, a conversation you need to have with the person who's buying the card from you. Would you like to purchase extra insurance? So that is a little bit of a prickly one, because some pages now say that the insurance is on the seller. However, if you specify
Mm-hmm.
postage at buyer's price, insurance at buyer's cost,
Yeah.
that's a way to sort of manage that
It's
cost,
one
as
of those
opposed to,
fine print T's and
unless you're going to
C's. Yeah.
factor that into your price. The third one that we had was don't deal in blind faith, and this is very similar to what we're saying with the buyers from the other week, is that
Hmm.
you just do your vouchers check on someone. If it's a fresh face that's just popped up in the community, you don't know them, they've not got many
Correct.
friends on their profile, that would be a bit of a red flag.
Yep. Scams go
If the
two
name
ways. Yeah,
if the
scams go
name
two
doesn't
ways.
match the payment details, that's another bit of a red flag. Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
better do a voucher check on this guy. And
Yep.
then for eBay, the obvious one is just the number of vouchers that they've got, and also reading through. So you were talking about with me,
Yep.
maybe it was off the air, you're talking about checking someone's feedback because the person
Yeah.
had a history of doing chargebacks. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as far as the scam alert side of things go, when you're the seller, there it's not all sunshine and rainbows in buyer land. There are
yeah,
buyers out there that do target people that don't keep records, that aren't having signature on delivery or tracked postage, and
yeah.
then claiming they haven't received items, and that's their scam, so to speak. So
Mm,
be wary of that, and that's why obviously we suggest the other things. So
yeah.
scamming goes both ways.
Yeah, definitely. Don't post until your cash arrives. I think that's a really
That's a big
simple one.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I think the rule on that on eBay is a little bit different, because sometimes your funds will go into a trust,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to do with eBay's own sort of policies
Mm-hmm.
around making sure that, because it really protects the buyer more than the seller per se. But
Yeah.
I think if you've got a massive company like eBay holding your funds, that's not
It's
an
not going to
issue.
hold for long.
That's
It's,
completely different to a buyer not paying you and you've already sent off the parcel. That's something that you should absolutely avoid, at all costs.
yeah.
And look, we've all sent off packages without checking for payment. Like, it happens from time to time, but I think probably the main message there is, don't make it a routine thing, because it'll
Yeah.
just be a matter of time until you
Yeah.
get burnt. I've just changed the list order just to keep you on your toes, Adam. But
I've
I
seen
think
that.
this is probably the big one for me, is packaging. So I'm going to keep this really simple, because you can go down a rabbit hole on this, and there's actually a fair bit of content out there now about this. Like, I think
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 years ago that wasn't the case, but now you can just go onto YouTube and there's heaps of stuff. But this is the way I think about it. If someone wants their cards posted out cheaply, then it just goes into a bubble mailer. It costs you 2 stamps, which I think is $3 now,
Mm-hmm.
and then off it goes. If they want registered post, what I just do now is I just put it straight into a satchel, because by the time you buy your registered post sticker, you buy your stamps, you buy your padded envelope, you're looking at around sort of $9 or $10. You can get a satchel for $10.
Yeah.
With the satchels, you can bundle it all up either in a small box,
Yeah.
or you can, this is what my preference is, I just wrap it up with a thick layering of bubble wrap,
Yeah.
and it goes in. So my argument for that is that, in my experience, when cards have been damaged in the post, it's because they've gone in envelopes and they go through the roller process that
Mm-hmm.
Australia Post does to process their
Yeah.
envelopes, which I think is, by the way, I'm not having a go at Australia Post on this. I think it's the combination of Australia Post's role is, in addition to us trying to put cards through them.
I think us using packaging, and we'll say envelopes because some envelopes are used for letters, not
Yeah,
for trading cards. I
correct.
use padded mailers
Correct.
because
But even the
they're a
pattern
type.
mails can sometimes get damaged at, and this is what
They
I'm
can.
saying. So it's like once you sort of go over that $100 mark,
Yeah.
put it into a satchel, then it gets handled as a parcel, not as a
What do you
letter.
pack
Yeah.
cards in? And this is I want to keep this super quick. I use a little bit of cardboard. I use obviously top loaders. I put them in. I make sure the card's packed. So if I was to sending it to me, I would like it protected.
If I'm being honest here, I actually don't think cardboard does a thing. All it does is it just like soothes people of like obsession with it. The fact of the matter is, if it goes and gets stuck in the roller clamp, that thing is going to be bent no matter like how much cardboard you put
True.
onto it. Yeah.
True.
So that's what I'm saying. My honest opinion here is, if you have a card of value, just pay for that little bit extra, chuck it into a satchel. You can wrap that thing up to high heaven,
True.
and it still costs the same amount because
Yeah.
as long as it fits in the satchel, it's all gravy. There's
Yeah.
no weight limits.
But
The size limit.
I think the biggest thing is no plain white envelopes and no unprotected cards.
Sure, yeah. I mean, specifically that I actually have glossed over that. I suppose I'm just saying that as like that's kind of obvious at this point.
I personally,
And then boxes after
yeah.
that, then too. Then you just go straight to like
Yep.
the small registered post box, which I think now costs $11.
Yep.
You can get an absolute load of cards in there for $11. Actually, it's very good value when you say it like that.
Yep.
So
a lot of the extra cost is coming with insurances and tracking and things. But if the higher the sale, use common sense. Can you afford to get the charge back if you haven't paid for tracking? That's the big part that goes back to that anyway.
Yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? But it all fits in, doesn't it? I think the last one we've got here, unless we've missed any, is just meeting in a public place if you're doing a face-to-face sale.
Yeah, that's kind of a bonus tip. If you're doing this face-to-face and you're selling a thing, do it in a public place so that you're not going to get jumped.
Yeah.
So you're safe. It's
having a little bit of separation from yourself, from the buyer. Look, I'm not saying that the card collecting community is filled up with peanuts who are trying to attack you. Like, that's not the case at all. But it is always just nice to have that little bit of separation between yourself. And the other thing you can do there is get a PO box. So then, again, that gives you that little bit of separation from your personal address to where you're getting your cards shipped back to.
Yeah.
And then also too, if you're trying to hide your card purchases from your partners, this also gives you an extra layer of security in terms of that too.
It does. When you said
not that any of our collectors would be doing this,
not
though.
At all. What about meeting in a public place? All I thought of was like you having an envelope with the cards in it, and me coming with a briefcase full of cash.
Yeah, for sure, right? Doing some dodgy deal. Yeah.
The cafe, switching it over.
I mean, the difference is you've got just like middle-aged, grey-haired guys who, they've still got all their teeth, so clearly they haven't been on the meth pipes.
Like it pulls out of the jacket with an envelope. I'm like, oh, is it evidence? Am I paying a bribe? No. It's a Luka Doncic rookie card. Anyway,
what have we missed here?
Nothing. I think. Well, I'm sure there's something.
Sure, we missed something.
If we've missed anything, if you guys, everyone, if you're watching, pop a comment put something in the comments. We'll respond.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really good starting point. Just to remember, as a seller, there are also buyers out there that might try and scam you. It's a two-way street. Just be safe out there. If you've got any other tips for the audience, please pop them in the comments. And I think that wraps up another
timeless moment.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you like the video, give it a big like, and we'll see you in the next one.